Welcome to Monk's Temple. As you settle in for the night, there's a quiet truth we often overlook. The body knows how to rest. It's been doing it since before you were born. The breath knows how to breathe. The heart knows its rhythm. There's an innate intelligence in this physical form that is already moving toward repair, toward restoration, without a single thought from you. Yet here you are, in the quiet dark, feeling separate from that natural process. The mind has taken over the narration, and it's telling a story of urgency, of problems yet unsolved, of a self that is not yet ready, not yet safe, not yet complete enough to surrender. That story feels true. It feels personal. It feels like you. But what if that story itself is the very barrier between you and the deep, healing rest that is your birthright? The wisdom offered by Buddhism is not a new set of rules for your mind to follow. It is, instead, an invitation to question the narrator. To look closely at the one who seems to be in charge of this nighttime struggle. For over 2,600 years, since the Buddha's own awakening, this path has pointed not outward to changing circumstances, but inward to a fundamental shift in perception. The peace you seek isn't a destination you reach by figuring things out. It is the ground you're already standing on, once you clear away the confusion. I remember a simple lesson from my early days of training. I was assigned to help in the garden, tasked with watering a vast section of young, vulnerable seedlings. The head gardener, a woman with earth under her nails and endless patience, handed me a watering can with a broken, wide rose, the sprinkler head. Water poured out in a gushing stream. "Use this," she said. I protested. "This will wash them away. It's too harsh. I need the gentle shower." She shook her head. "You see the force of the water. You don't see the thirst of the earth. The soil is parched deep down. A gentle shower will dampen the surface and evaporate by noon. The roots will remain thirsty." Sometimes, what looks like aggression is exactly what's needed to reach the depth. I spent the afternoon carefully pouring this forceful stream of water beside each plant, not on it. I watched the dry, cracked earth greedily drink, the water sinking deep, out of sight. The next morning, every seedling stood a little taller, a little greener, rooted in moisture I could no longer see. Your mind, when it races at night, is like that gentle, anxious shower, skimming the surface, dampening everything but quenching nothing. It sprinkles worries over the surface of your awareness. What did he mean? What if I fail? How will I manage? This surface-level agitation evaporates into exhaustion, leaving the deep roots of your being, your true capacity for peace, untouched and thirsty. The practice is not to stop the water, but to direct it. To allow the stream of your attention to sink beneath the storyline, down into the silent, receptive soil of your own presence. The thoughts may continue on the surface, but you are learning to water the depth. If this idea of tending to the depth rather than the surface chatter resonates with you, consider subscribing to Monk's Temple. It is a simple way to remind yourself to reach for the watering can of wisdom, not just the sprinkler of worry, when life feels parched. Now, let's feel for that deeper soil together. This leads us to the first and most transformative of the Buddha's insights, the principle of anatta, or not self. This is often misunderstood. It does not mean you don't exist. It means that what you have been calling me is a collection of passing processes, not a solid, central commander. You are not the voice in your head. You are the one who hears it. Think of it this way. Imagine you are the screen at a cinema. All day long, movies play across you, the drama of the work meeting, the comedy of a friend's joke, the suspense of waiting for news, the late-night horror show of tomorrow's worries. If the screen were to identify with any single movie, I am that car chase. I am that tragic scene. It would be torn apart, frame by frame. But the screen itself remains untouched. It holds the light and color, but is not changed by it. The movie of My Stressful Day is playing right now. The preview for My Anxious Tomorrow is about to start. Can you feel yourself as the screen? Immense, stable, silent, and perfectly capable of holding any story that is projected, without becoming it. This is your true nature. Awareness itself. The thoughts are the light playing upon you. They have no substance of their own. When you believe the thought, I am anxious, you are the screen mistaking itself for a dark scene. The suffering is in that misidentification. The freedom is in the remembering, a scene of anxiety is playing. I am the space in which it appears. The scene will change. The screen does not. Right now, sense the body resting. Feel the breath moving. Notice a thought arising. Now, try to find the thinker. Not the thought, but the one who thinks it. Where is it located? What shape does it have? Is it in the head? The chest? When you look directly for the commander of this mental army, you find only more thoughts about a commander. You find an idea, not an entity. This simple, direct looking can unravel a lifetime of assumption. It reveals the central character of your story to be a phantom. And in that space, a profound fatigue, the fatigue of holding a phantom in place, can begin to dissolve. From this vantage point, we can look with compassion at the mind's nightly activity. It is not a villain. It is a pattern of energy, conditioned by habit, trying to do a job it was never meant to do, to secure the future and correct the past. The Buddha gave a name to this exhausting effort, tanha, usually translated as craving or thirst. But it's more precise than a desire for things. It is the fundamental movement of mind that says, this present moment is not enough. It should be different. It is the craving for the mind to be quiet, for sleep to come, for the problem to be solved now. It is the rejection of what is, in favor of a mental fantasy of what should be. I saw this clearly one summer during a long, silent retreat. A fly had gotten into my small room. It developed a terrible pattern. It would fly to the window, a large pane of clear glass, and buzz furiously against it, trying to reach the sunlight and freedom it could so clearly see. Bzzz thump. Bzzz thump. It did this for hours. It was just a few inches from an open door to its left, but it was fixated on the transparent barrier. It craved the direct path through the mirage of the window. Its suffering was not from the room, but from its relentless, exhausted insistence on a path that didn't exist. Our minds do this every night. We see the image of peaceful sleep on the other side of the glass, and we buzz and thump against it with our thoughts, trying to think our way through. We crave the direct, controlled passage into unconsciousness. And just to the left, unattended, is the open door of surrender. The door of letting go of the struggle, of simply being with the tired body, the buzzing mind, and the clear, present moment reality of the dark room. Peace isn't on the other side of the glass. It's found when you stop fighting the window and turn toward the open space that was always available. So tonight, when you feel that buzzing, thumping energy of craving. The "I need to sleep now" demand, recognize it. Don't fight the fly. Just notice it. See the transparent barrier of your own expectations. And then, gently, in your awareness, turn from the window. Feel the space of the room. Feel the open door of this moment, just as it is. You don't have to fly through it. You just have to stop insisting the window is the only way out. This turning away from the futile struggle is the beginning of true ease. It is an application of the Buddha's core teaching on the end of suffering. It starts not with changing what is, but with clearly seeing the exhausting, repetitive pattern you're in. And in that clear seeing, the pattern loses its power. The fly, in a moment of quiet, might just land, rest its wings, and then eventually, naturally, find its way out. Let's explore this space of the open door. It feels unfamiliar because we are so accustomed to the window. We are addicted to the thumping. The mind believes that if it just thinks with enough precision, plans with enough detail, or worries with enough intensity, it will finally break through to safety. This belief is the engine of our nighttime vigilance. Buddhism helps us dismantle this engine not by force, but by understanding its fuel, the illusion of control. We carry a deep-seated conviction that thinking is steering. That our constant mental commentary is what navigates the ship of our life through dangerous waters. So when sleep comes, and the thinking mind is asked to relinquish the wheel, it panics. Who will steer? What if we drift? What if we crash? It doesn't trust that the ship itself, this body, this life, has its own wisdom, its own currents, its own ability to float. I learned about this illusion not from a scripture, but from learning to swim in a mountain lake. I was a fearful swimmer, always thrashing, trying to keep every part of my body perfectly at the surface through sheer effort and tension. I would exhaust myself in minutes. My teacher, an old man who seemed part otter, finally said, "You are fighting the water because you think it is your enemy. You think you must control it to live. Watch." He floated on his back, utterly still, his hands gently moving. The water wants to hold you. Your job is not to conquer it, but to let it. Stop steering your bones. Let the water do its work. Tentatively, I tried. I stopped thrashing. I leaned back into the cold embrace of the lake. For a terrifying second, I sank a little, and my mind screamed to flail. But I didn't. And then, a miraculous thing happened, the water held me up. My breathing, which had been ragged, slowed. The tension melted from my neck and shoulders. I was floating. The effort had not been in floating, but in my desperate, exhausting resistance to floating. Your relationship with sleep is the same. You are thrashing in the bed, mentally fighting the water of this present moment, trying to steer yourself into unconsciousness. The effort is tremendous. The teaching is simple: stop steering. Let go. The mind screams that you will sink into oblivion, into chaos. But what if, like the water, the nature of this night, of your own consciousness, is to hold you? What if rest is not an achievement of the thinking mind, but a natural state you fall into when you stop fighting it? The Buddha's teachings consistently point toward this truth. Much of our suffering is a result of upadana, clinging or grasping. We cling to the thought that we must be in control. We grasp at the desire for a particular outcome, dreamless sleep, right now. This clinging is what keeps us tense, afloat through frantic effort, instead of being supported by the deep, quiet buoyancy of things as they are. Notice it right now. As you lie there, is there a subtle, background effort to make sleep happen? A monitoring, am I relaxed yet? Is it working? That monitoring is the last vestige of thrashing. It is the mind, still trying to steer. See if you can, just for the next 3 breaths, let go of the steering wheel entirely. Don't try to relax. Don't try to do anything. Simply fall back, mentally, into the bed, into the night, into the trust that your body knows how to do this. You are not going to sink. You are being held. This release from the illusion of control opens us to the second luminous insight, the reality of anicca, impermanence. We fear the silence, the loss of control, because we believe whatever state we fall into will be permanent. If we fall into anxiety, we believe we will be trapped there forever. If we can't sleep tonight, we believe we will never sleep again. Our mind catastrophizes by imagining permanent states. But reality knows no permanence. Everything is in flux. Every sensation, every emotion, every mental state is a wave in the ocean of your experience. Watch a wave. It gathers, rises, peaks, crashes, and dissolves back into the sea. It cannot do otherwise. Your restless mind is a series of waves. The thought about tomorrow is one wave. The memory from today is another. The feeling of frustration is a third. They follow one another, each rising from the sea of conditions and falling back into it. There is a powerful practice here. Instead of lying on the beach getting drenched and battered by each wave, see if you can, in your imagination, sit on a quiet bluff overlooking the whole ocean. From this vantage point, you can see the waves coming. You can see them rise. You can see them peak. And you can watch them inevitably fall and become smooth water again. You are not in the wave. You are the spacious awareness watching the wave's entire, temporary life cycle. From here, you cannot be drowned, because you are not in the water. You are the witness of the water. This perspective is what the Buddha encouraged. It's called vipassana, clear seeing. You are not trying to stop the ocean. You are learning to see its true, impermanent nature. When you see clearly that the frantic wave of, "I need to sleep," is already, in the very moment of its peak, beginning to dissipate, it loses its terror. You develop a deep, unshakable trust in the process of change. No wave, no matter how powerful, has ever lasted. This one won't either. So tonight, practice being the bluff, not the beach. When a wave of worry rises, don't jump into it. Simply note from your quiet vantage point, a wave of worry is rising. Watch it with curiosity. See how long it takes to reach its peak. Observe the very moment it begins to subside. You are not at the mercy of the ocean. You are in relationship with it, from a place of profound and settled safety. This leads us to a beautiful paradox. When you stop identifying with the waves, anatta, when you stop trying to control the ocean, releasing tanha, and when you deeply trust the impermanent nature of every wave, anicca, something settles. The frantic energy that was fighting, clinging, and fearing begins to dissipate. What is left is not nothing. It is a profound, wordless peace. In Buddhism, this is the third noble truth, nirodha, the cessation of suffering. It is the natural quiet that emerges when you stop adding fuel to the fire of struggle. It is not that the ocean becomes flat. Waves may still come. But you are no longer drowning in them. You are resting as the vast, deep expanse that contains them. And from that place of rest, sleep is no longer a desperate goal to be achieved. It becomes a natural, gentle descent, like the sun setting into the horizon of your own awareness. You don't make the sun set. You simply allow it, and watch the colors change until all that is left is the peaceful, star-filled dark. Now, let's turn our attention to a subtle but powerful force that shapes these waves in your mind, the stories you tell yourself. Long after the events of the day are over, the mind continues to write and rewrite the script. It edits conversations, rehearses arguments, and imagines futures. This isn't reflection, it's renovation. And it's exhausting. The Buddha pointed to this habit of mental proliferation, calling it papanka. It's the mind's tendency to take a simple sensation or event and spin a vast, elaborate web of concept, story, and self-view around it. Think of it like this. You feel a faint, neutral sensation in your stomach as you lie down. The mind, seeking a narrative, instantly grabs it. That's anxiety. Why am I anxious? It must be because of the meeting tomorrow. What if I fail? What will they think? This could affect my entire career. I'm not good enough for this. A single, fleeting sensation has become a multi-chapter novel about your inadequacy and impending doom. You are no longer feeling a sensation. You are lost in a mental movie theater, watching a horror film starring yourself. I witnessed the sheer weight of these self-made stories while working with a potter in a village near the monastery. He was famous for his beautiful, delicate cups. He would spend hours at the wheel, centering the clay, raising the walls with a touch both firm and tender. One day, I watched him form a nearly perfect cup. Then, his finger caught a tiny, almost invisible flaw on the rim. Instead of smoothing it, he stared. His brow furrowed. He pressed too hard trying to fix it, and the rim collapsed. Annoyed, he tried to salvage it, pushing the clay this way and that, until the entire elegant form became a slumped, misshapen lump. Disgusted, he smashed it back into a wet ball of clay. Ruined, he muttered. The original flaw was minor. The story he told about it, "This is ruined, I've failed, this is unacceptable," is what led to the actual destruction. How many nights have you taken a small, passing thought, a minor regret, a slight worry, and, by mentally fussing over it, collapsed the entire piece of your evening? The practice here is to notice the first touch of the potter's hand. The initial thought. The first spin of the story. Can you catch it before the wheel gains speed? Can you see the sensation in the stomach as just that, a sensation, without letting the mind build a city of meaning upon it? This requires a gentle, firm returning to the senses. The bed beneath you is real. The sound of your breath is real. The weight of the blanket is real. These are the simple, undeniable facts of this moment. The story about tomorrow is a fabrication, a thought ghost. When you feel yourself being pulled into the movie, feel your feet. Literally. Wiggle your toes. Feel the texture of the sheets. This simple act grounds you back in the reality of the present, pulling the plug on the projector. Buddhism teaches satipatthana, the foundations of mindfulness. It begins not with lofty states, but with this embodied grounding. Mindfulness of the body. It is your anchor. Your mind is the kite, flying into storms of past and future. The sensation of the body is the string in your hand, the tether that can always bring you back to the solid earth of now. So tonight, let the body be your primary reality. Let the stories be background noise, like a radio playing softly in another room. You don't have to turn it off. You simply don't have to go in and start dancing to its music. From this grounded place, we can look with great compassion at one of the heaviest stories we carry, the story of a solid, separate self. This is the protagonist of all our inner novels. I am the one who was wronged. I am the one who is falling behind. I am the one who can't sleep. We invest this character with permanence and centrality. But what is it, really? The Buddha offered a brilliant analysis. He said what we call the self is a temporary gathering of 5 khandhas or aggregates: form, the body, feeling, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, perception, recognizing and labeling, mental formations, thoughts, habits, volitions, and consciousness, awareness itself. He then asked, is the body permanent? No. Is feeling permanent? No. Is perception permanent? No. Are thoughts permanent? No. Is consciousness permanent? It arises and passes based on conditions. So, which part of this changing stream can you rightly call a permanent, unchanging me? This investigation isn't meant to be cold or analytical. It's meant to bring relief. You are not a fixed statue, but a flowing river. The tension comes from trying to freeze the river into a statue. When you believe, I am an anxious person, you are taking a temporary pattern of mental formations, anxious thoughts, and gluing it to consciousness to create a seemingly solid identity. It's like taking a single frame from a movie and declaring it the entire film. Tonight, experiment with this. When a self-referential thought arises, I'm so tired of this, why can't I just be normal? Pause. See if you can break it down. Where is the I in that sentence? Is it the tired body, form? Is it the unpleasant feeling of fatigue, feeling? Is it the thought formation itself, masquerading as an owner? Watch the sentence arise and pass. See it as a weather pattern in the sky of your mind, not as a definition of the sky itself. As you do this, the story of me begins to soften. It becomes lighter. It becomes a process you are witnessing, not a prison you are inhabiting. And in that space, a beautiful possibility emerges: rest without a rester. Sleep without a sleeper. You are not someone who needs to achieve silence. You are the awareness that eventually, naturally, settles into its own silent nature, when the stories finally run out of steam. Let's explore what happens when we stop fueling the stories. There's a space that appears. A gap between thoughts, a pause in the narrative. For many, this space feels uncomfortable, even frightening. We rush to fill it with the next thought, the next memory, the next plan. We are afraid of the silence because we believe that if the story stops, we stop. This is the mind's deepest, most basic confusion. Buddhism guides us to not only tolerate these gaps but to rest in them. They are not voids, but doorways. In the Pali Canon, the Buddha speaks of the mind being liberated in the signless, which points to this freedom found not in any particular experience, but in the space between them, in the awareness that is prior to all objects. I came to understand this through a very simple, recurring experience at the monastery. My job was to ring a large bronze bell to mark the periods of the day. The instruction was precise. Strike the bell firmly, then let the sound fade completely into silence before striking it again. At first, I failed miserably. I'd hit the bell, and almost immediately, as the rich OM was still vibrating in the air, I'd get impatient. I'd think, is it faded enough? Maybe now. I don't want to be late. And I'd ring again, clashing the new sound against the tail of the old one, creating discord. My teacher finally took the striker from my hand. He struck the bell once. A profound, clear tone filled the courtyard. He stood perfectly still, head slightly bowed, eyes closed. We stood there. The sound bloomed, held, and then began to decay, growing softer and softer until it was a mere whisper in the air. We waited longer. Until there was nothing but the rustle of leaves. A pure, empty silence. Then he nodded, and I rang again. The new tone was breathtaking in its clarity, born out of the complete absence of the one before. The mind is like that. One thought strikes, and its reverberations, the emotions, the associations, the stories, continue to vibrate. Out of habit and impatience, we strike another thought before the first has faded. Then another. We create a cacophony of overlapping mental noise, a discord that we call my racing mind. The practice of peace is to listen for the silence. To allow one thought to arise, to know it, and to let it fade completely before engaging the next. In the beginning, you may only catch the very end of the silence, a tiny gap. But even that gap is a taste of freedom. It is the clear sky between clouds. Tonight, try being the bell ringer of your own mind. When a thought sounds, I have so much to do, don't immediately strike the next one, let me list it all. Let the first thought resonate. Feel its emotional tone. Then, consciously wait. Listen for the fade. Welcome the silence that follows. It might last a microsecond. That's enough. In that tiny gap, you are not your thoughts. You are the spacious awareness that hears both the sound and the silence. As you practice this, the gaps will naturally widen. The silence will become more familiar, more like home than the noise. This directly addresses the second arrow, a famous teaching of the Buddha. He said when we experience pain, a physical ache, the mental pain of a worry, that is the first arrow. It is life. But then, we shoot a second arrow into ourselves with our reaction, this shouldn't be. Why me? This is terrible. The second arrow is our resistance, our story, our mental proliferation. The suffering is mostly from the second arrow. Your sleeplessness often follows this pattern. The first arrow is the simple fact of wakefulness in the quiet night. The second arrow is the torrent of thoughts, I should be asleep. This is ruining my tomorrow. What's wrong with me? The practice is to learn to receive the first arrow with bare attention, and to lay down the bow that shoots the second. Feel the wakefulness. Feel the tired body. That's all. Don't add the commentary. The moment you drop the story about the experience, a huge amount of suffering simply evaporates. You're left with a simple sensation, which is infinitely more manageable than a full-blown catastrophe. This leads us to cultivate a mind state the Buddha emphasized for both waking life and rest, metta, or loving-kindness. Often misunderstood as a sentimental feeling, metta is better described as a radical non-hostility. It is the decision to stop being at war with your own experience. Before sleep, the mind can turn viciously hostile toward itself. You idiot, why are you still thinking? Just shut up and sleep. This inner aggression is like pouring gasoline on a campfire you're trying to put out. Instead, you can practice metta toward the very restlessness itself. It might feel strange at first. When you feel the buzz of anxiety, instead of cursing it, try silently offering it a phrase of kindness. May you be at ease. You are not talking to yourself as a person, but to the pattern of energy. You are changing your relationship to it from one of warfare to one of merciful allowance. This doesn't mean you like the anxiety. It means you stop adding the violence of hatred on top of it. You surround the difficult sensation with space and neutrality. Often, when we stop fighting a part of ourselves, it loses its reason to fight back and simply dissipates, like a child who stops crying when finally held. So tonight, let your practice have this quality of tenderness. Wrap the tired body in metta. Wrap the busy mind in metta. Wrap the frustration, the worry, the impatience in metta. It is a silent, internal gesture of laying down arms. In that ceasefire, the body's natural intelligence for sleep finds the space to operate. You are not forcing peace, you are simply ending the inner civil war. And in any war, when the fighting stops, what rushes in first is not victory, but a profound and grateful silence. Now, let's examine the landscape of this ceasefire more closely. When the stories soften and the inner hostility relaxes, what remains? Often, we encounter a raw, buzzing energy, a restlessness that seems to have no content. It's not about any specific worry, it's just energy. This is a crucial moment. The mind, accustomed to feeding on problems, may try to latch onto this energy and create a new story. This is anxiety. This is insomnia. This is wrong. But what if this energy is not a problem at all? What if it is simply life, pulsing? The Buddha's framework of the 5 aggregates is helpful here. This energy is part of the aggregate of form, it's a physical, sensory experience. The tingling in the limbs, the quickened heartbeat, the sense of vibration in the chest. It is pure sensation before the mind labels it as, my anxiety. The practice at this stage is to drop down beneath the label, into the direct, wordless experience of the sensation itself. I learned about this from watching a master weaver in a remote village. She worked with a simple, hand-operated loom. The threads were a tangled, chaotic snarl of colors on one side. But as she worked, with a rhythm that seemed as natural as breathing, a breathtaking pattern emerged on the other side, intricate, ordered, beautiful. I asked her how she knew which thread to pull next amidst the chaos. She smiled. I don't look at the threads as a problem, she said. I feel the tension. My hand feels for the thread that is ready to be pulled. The chaos is just unused material. The order is in the pulling. Your restless energy is the unused material. Your awareness is the weaver's hand. The mind wants to stare at the tangled snarl and declare it a mess. The practice is to gently feel the tension of the energy in the body without calling it a name. Where is it most vivid? Does it have a temperature? A texture? A movement? As you bring a gentle, curious attention to the raw sensation, not the story of the sensation, something shifts. The energy is no longer a threatening something to get rid of. It becomes a simple phenomenon, a vibration in the field of your awareness. And like a thread under the weaver's attentive touch, it begins to move, to integrate, to become part of the larger pattern of the moment, rather than a snarl resisting it. This is the heart of mindfulness as taught in Buddhism, Yathabhutananadasana, knowing and seeing things as they really are. You are seeing the restlessness not as, my insomnia, but as it really is, a cluster of changing sensations. In this clear seeing, the personal ownership evaporates. It's just nature. The wind blows. The fire burns. The body buzzes with energy. There is no one to blame, and nothing to fix. There is only the knowing of it. From this place of impersonal observation, we can revisit the idea of surrender with new depth. Surrender is not a defeat. It is a sophisticated alignment with truth. You are not surrendering to the thought, I can't sleep. You are surrendering the futile war against the present moment constellation of sensations. You are surrendering the hope for a different now. There's a powerful metaphor in the ancient texts, the simile of the saw. The Buddha said that even if bandits were to cut you apart with a two-handled saw, if hatred arose in your heart, you would not be following his teaching. The point is radical, your peace is independent of circumstances. Your ability to rest in awareness is not contingent on the body being still or the mind being quiet. It is contingent only on your non-resistance to what is occurring. The bandits are a dramatic example, but your own thoughts can feel like bandits in the night, trying to cut you apart from your peace. The practice is to meet them not with hatred, go away, but with a steadfast, compassionate awareness that refuses to be provoked into a war. This is the ultimate refuge. So tonight, if the energy is high, if the bandits of thought are fierce, experiment with this radical alignment. Instead of trying to calm the energy, align with it. In your mind, whisper to the sensation, yes. This too. Allow it to be exactly as intense as it is. Feel its edges. Don't ask it to change. This complete allowance is the essence of surrender. It is the weaver accepting the tension of the thread. It is the sky accepting the storm. In a paradox that only direct experience can reveal, this full allowance often leads to a natural dissolving of the tension. The energy, finally permitted to be exactly what it is, no longer needs to shout for recognition. It expends itself, and a deeper, quieter layer of being is revealed. This is the movement from the surface of the ocean, choppy with waves of thought and sensation, down into the still, dark, boundless depths below. The waves are real, but they are not the whole truth. Your true nature has the depth of the ocean, not just the agitation of its surface. Sleep, then, is not about flattening the waves. It is about sinking effortlessly into the depth that already exists, that has always existed, beneath every single wave of your life. Let's speak about this depth. When you stop wrestling with the surface waves, you may touch a quiet so profound it can feel like nothing. The mind, ever the storyteller, may grow alarmed. Is this it? Have I disappeared? This fear of dissolution is the final gatekeeper before deep rest. It's based on a fundamental error, the belief that you are the content of your mind. If the content settles, you fear you will cease to be. Buddhism offers a liberating reframe: you are not the content, you are the context. When the stories fade, you don't disappear, You become more fully present as the boundless space in which experiences arise and pass. I glimpsed this through an experience with night fishing on a still lake. I was with an old fisherman who moved in silence. We slipped onto the black water after midnight. There was no moon. He lit a single lantern and hung it off the bow. "Watch the water," he whispered. At first, I saw only inky blackness. Then, as my eyes adjusted, I saw the reflection of the lantern star on the water's surface. And then, I saw something miraculous. Just beneath the surface, drawn to the light, were fish. They glided silently, their shapes dark and fluid against the deeper dark. The surface reflection was one thing, bright, defined. But the life, the depth, was beneath it. The lantern didn't create the fish, it simply revealed the world that was always there, hidden beneath the ordinary view of the surface. Your awareness is that lantern. Your thoughts and sensations are the shimmering reflection on the surface. We spend our lives focused on that surface glitter, believing it to be the whole of reality. The practice of meditation, of mindful rest, is the process of adjusting your gaze. It's learning to look beneath the reflection of thought, into the deep, teeming, silent darkness of pure being. The fish are your innate vitality, your intuitive wisdom, the quiet pulse of life itself. They have been there all along. You don't find peace by polishing the surface reflection. You find it by sinking your attention into the rich, supportive depth that holds it. This is the meaning of samadhi in Buddhism, often translated as concentration or collectedness. It's not a forced focusing on one thing, but a natural gathering of the scattered mind into a unified, settled state, like muddy water left to stand becoming clear. As you rest tonight, you aren't trying to make the water clear. You are simply allowing the stirring to settle. The particles of thought, given no new energy, will slowly sink. What is revealed is not emptiness, but lucidity. The clear water of your nature, capable of reflecting the moon of peace perfectly. From this vantage point of depth, the concept of time itself softens. The mind's agony is built on time, regret over the past, anxiety over the future. The depth of present awareness exists in a timeless now. A Zen master once said, "The great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences." This doesn't mean you become a robot. It means you release the desperate preference for a moment other than this one. In the depth, there is only this. This breath. This sensation. This dark, quiet presence. The meeting tomorrow does not exist there. The conversation from today is a ghost. They have no reality in the palpable truth of the present. When you inhabit the depth, you are free from the tyranny of time's arrows. So tonight, practice being the lake, not the lantern's reflection. Let your awareness sink down from the bright, frantic surface of thought, down into the calm, dark water of the body. Feel the weight. Feel the stillness. In that depth, the concept of falling asleep transforms. You are not falling into oblivion. You are sinking into your true nature, into a reality that is more substantial, more real, and infinitely more peaceful than the world of your thoughts. It is a homecoming. This homecoming is gently guarded by a principle the Buddha taught. Apamita, heedfulness or diligent care. It is not vigilance in the sense of anxious watchfulness, but a gentle, continuous remembering to return to depth, to truth. It's the opposite of the heedlessness that gets lost in the surface drama. As you drift, this heedfulness is a soft light left on in the heart, a knowing that you are safe in the depth, that you are the depth itself. With this gentle, discerning awareness as your companion, you can surrender completely. You are not abandoning yourself, you are returning to yourself in the most fundamental way. And in that return, something inevitable and natural occurs. The body, held in the deep acceptance of awareness, finally receives the signal it has been waiting for. The nervous system, no longer interpreting mental activity as a call to arms, shifts its state. The breath deepens on its own. The muscles release memories of tension they'd held since morning. This is not something you do. It is something that happens through you, when you get out of the way. Sleep becomes the natural next phase of this deepening rest, not a goal you achieve, but a landscape you gracefully enter. There is a gentle art to this getting out of the way. It is the art of upekkha, or equanimity. Often translated as even-mindedness, upekkha is the beautiful, balanced state of mind that is not pulled toward the pleasant nor pushed away from the unpleasant. It is the poise of the depth, undisturbed by the changing weather on the surface. Before sleep, the mind is usually in a state of craving for peace and aversion to wakefulness. This very craving and aversion is the turbulence. Upekkha is the calm that comes when you stop choosing sides in your own experience. Imagine a deep, ancient tree in a clearing. Seasons pass over it. The blazing sun of summer, the torrential rains of monsoon, the crisp chill of autumn, the silent snows of winter. The tree does not crave one season and hate another. It does not tense against the winter or cling to the summer. It receives each one. Its roots drink from the deep earth, beyond the reach of frost or drought. Its branches may sway, leaves may fall, but its stance is one of profound, receptive balance. It is in a relationship with the weather, not a war. You are that tree. The changing conditions are your thoughts, your moods, your energy levels. Upekkha is your rootedness in the deep earth of awareness, beyond the reach of the mind's transient storms. It is not indifference. The tree is vividly alive to the rain, it is simply not devastated by it. When you cultivate this equanimity, you can feel the frustration of not sleeping, the buzz of anxiety, the pull of a memory, without being uprooted by them. You feel them fully, yet you are not owned by them. You are rooted in something steadier. I learned about this rootedness not from a teacher's lecture, but from failing to grow a sapling. I had planted a young tree in a spot I thought was perfect. Every day, I would check it, water it if the soil looked dry, worry if a leaf yellowed, fuss over it. The tree grew weak and spindly. The old gardener saw me and shook his head. He led me to the forest edge and pointed to the wild saplings growing in the rocky, uneven ground. They must search for water, he said. Their roots must grow deep and strong to find nourishment. You are making your tree lazy. You are watering its fear. He told me to water my tree only when the soil was dry deep down, to let it experience a little thirst. It was counterintuitive, but I did it. The tree, forced to seek resources, grew sturdier, its trunk thicker. Its resilience was born from not having every surface need instantly met. Your mind is like that pampered sapling. Every flicker of discomfort, every thought, is immediately watered with attention, with engagement, with story. This keeps the roots of your awareness shallow, tangled in the surface soil of thinking. Upekkha is the practice of letting the mind experience its thirst, the uncomfortable energy, the unanswered question, without immediately rushing to fix it. You let the roots of your attention grow deep, seeking the underground spring of silent presence. This is how you become sturdy, unshakable, able to weather any internal weather. So tonight, practice being the forest tree, not the garden sapling. When an uncomfortable thought or feeling arises, don't immediately water it with more thinking. Feel the urge to engage, and then consciously pause. Let the discomfort be. Trust that your roots are reaching for a deeper source of stability. This pause is Upekkha in action. It is the space where you stop being a reactor and start being a witness. In that space, the compulsive energy of the thought often loses its momentum. It is not fed, so it flickers and fades, and a deeper, quieter strength in you is nourished. This equanimity allows you to apply the Buddha's teaching of the middle way to sleep itself. The middle way avoids the two extremes, the extreme of indulgence, stressing, striving, forcing sleep, and the extreme of asceticism, fighting, rejecting, hating your wakefulness. The middle way is the balanced, gentle effort of non-effort. It is creating the conditions for sleep, a comfortable body, a dark room, a mind inclined toward letting go, and then releasing all demands about the outcome. You tend the garden, but you do not pull on the sprouts. This balanced attitude removes the pressure, and in the absence of pressure, the natural intelligence of the organism can do what it knows how to do. From this place of balanced, rooted awareness, you can begin to see the entire tapestry of the night with wisdom. The wakefulness, the thoughts, the moments of quiet, the sinking toward sleep, all of it becomes part of a natural process, like the phases of the moon. There is no wrong phase. A cloudy night is still a night. Your job is not to control the lunar cycle, but to witness its beauty and inevitability. When you rest in this perspective, a deep fatigue. The fatigue of being the personal manager of the universe, finally leaves you. You are not in charge of the night. You are a participant in it, a conscious part of its unfolding. And in that participation, there is profound relief, and a rest that is deeper than unconsciousness. It is a rest that is awake to its own nature. This conscious participation opens a door to one of the most profound and practical teachings for the night, the understanding of karma and sankhara. Often misunderstood as fate or cosmic punishment, karma in Buddhism is simply the law of cause and effect, of intentional action and its result. Sankhara are the mental formations, the volitional impulses, the seeds we plant with every thought fueled by craving, aversion, or delusion. The mind racing before sleep is often replaying and reinforcing old sankharas, planting new seeds of worry and resistance, and then wondering why the harvest is a field of anxiety. Think of your mind as a vast, sensitive recording device. Every thought with emotional charge makes a groove in the record. I'm not prepared makes a groove. They'll think I'm foolish carves another. Throughout the day, the needle of your attention runs over these grooves, playing back the familiar, often painful, songs. At night, when the external world is quiet, the internal record player is all you can hear. The practice is not to smash the record player, but to first notice the needle is stuck in old grooves, and then, gently, to lift it off. You cannot erase the grooves instantly, but you can choose not to play them tonight. I witnessed a powerful illustration of this with a village glassblower. He created beautiful vases, but sometimes, a bubble or impurity would form in the molten glass. His apprentice would get frustrated, trying to fix it by adding more glass, more heat, more force, often making the flaw worse. The master would stop him. He would take the piece, hold it up to the light, and study the flaw. Then, with immense patience, he would reheat the glass just enough to make it pliable, and with a few precise, gentle taps of his tools, not on the flaw, but around it, he would incorporate the bubble into the design. The impurity became a unique feature, a trapped star of light. He didn't fight the sankara of the flaw, he related to it with awareness and skill, transforming its energy. Your restless thoughts are those bubbles in the molten glass of your awareness. The habitual reaction is to add more mental heat, more worry, more solutions, which often distorts things further. The skillful response is to bring the gentle, illuminating light of awareness to the thought pattern itself. To see it clearly. Ah, this is the old "I'm not enough" record playing again. In that simple recognition, without judgment or added drama, you lift the needle. You stop reinforcing the groove. You allow the mental energy to become pliable again, and with the gentle tools of breath and kindness, you can incorporate that energy back into the wholeness of your being, rather than letting it be a destructive flaw. This is the essence of bhavana, mental development or cultivation. You are not a passive victim of your mental recordings. You are the glassblower of your mind. Every moment you choose awareness over reaction, you are reheating the old, rigid patterns and reshaping them with wisdom. You are planting new seeds, seeds of observation, acceptance, and equanimity. These seeds will bear fruit in future moments as greater ease, resilience, and a natural tendency toward peace. So tonight, become the listener to your inner record collection. When an old, familiar tune of anxiety or regret starts to play, don't sing along. Don't try to break the record. Simply note, playing the "Tomorrow's Disaster" track again. Acknowledge it as a conditioned pattern, a sankara from the past being activated. Then, gently return your attention to the felt sense of the body in the bed, to the breath. This is the act of lifting the needle. You are stopping the karmic momentum of that particular thought seed. You are, in that moment, free. This practice extends to the very threshold of sleep. As you drift, thoughts may become fragmented, surreal. The sense of a solid you may soften and blur. This can trigger a mini panic, a last gasp effort by the ego to reassert control. See this too as an old recording, the "Fear of Dissolution" track. Meet it with the same gentle recognition. Ah, the "I'm disappearing" story. This isn't a truth, it's a final, whispered sankara losing its power. You can let it be, let it warp and slow like a record running out of power. The silence that follows is not your end, it is the spacious beginning of rest, where the listener and the music become one in quiet awareness. In this way, the entire process of falling asleep becomes a practice in conscious living, in understanding karma, in reshaping sankharas, and in embodying the Buddha's path of liberation in the most intimate way possible. You are not just waiting for sleep. You are practicing freedom. And in that practice, rest finds you, not as an escape from consciousness, but as its deepest, most natural expression. As you approach this deep, natural expression of rest, there is one final, gentle inquiry to make. We have explored the sky and the weather, the depth and the waves, the tree and the seasons. We have seen that what we call I is a process, not a thing. Yet, a quiet question may linger in the heart. If I am not this story, not this controller, then what remains? What is the point of it all? Buddhism does not leave this question hanging in a void. It points not to a philosophical answer, but to a lived experience, the experience of sukha, often translated as happiness or ease, but more accurately felt as the profound peace of unshakability. It is the happiness of the rafters who, having crossed the river, can put down their raft and walk freely on the far shore, unburdened. Your journey across the river of the day is complete. The raft of your effort, your identity, your management, has served its purpose. To carry it into the night is unnecessary labor. I encountered a beautiful symbol of this in an old monastery garden. There was a sundial, carved from gray stone, placed in the center of a raked gravel courtyard. Pilgrims would come and study it, trying to tell the time. But the sundial was broken, its gnomon was missing. People would get frustrated, circling it, complaining it was useless. One evening, I saw the eldest monk sitting beside it. He wasn't looking at the dial. He was looking at the long shadow of the monastery wall stretching across the gravel. The sundial is not broken, he said softly, more to himself than to me. It is finally free. It no longer points to one small slice of time. Now, it contains the whole day. Your mind, with its endless need to point to the past mistake, to the future task, is like a functioning sundial, useful but limited. The peace of sleep, of deep rest, is what happens when the central pointer of I relaxes its constant aiming. In that relaxation, you don't become useless. You become vast. You contain the whole of your experience without being defined by any single part of it. The broken sundial doesn't tell the hour, but it sits in the fullness of the day's arc. This is sukha. The contentment of no longer needing to point, to prove, to position yourself in time. From this vantage point of contained wholeness, the Buddha's teachings on the Four Noble Truths are not a linear diagnosis but a simultaneous reality. Dukkha, suffering, is seen, the tension, the worry. Samudaya, its cause, is seen, the craving for a different now. Nirodha, its cessation, is felt, the peace when craving stops. And Magga, the path, is what you are being in this very moment. Mindful, investigating, letting go, resting in awareness. The path is not something you walk toward a distant goal. In deep rest, you realize you are standing on it. The path is the quality of your attention right now. This has a direct effect on the nervous system. When the mind stops its project of self-construction and timekeeping, the body receives the all-clear signal. The threat is over. The watchtower can be vacated. This triggers the parasympathetic nervous system. The rest and digest response. This is not something you can command. It is a biological gift that is given when the psychological war ends. The softening of the eyes, the deepening of the breath, the warming of the extremities, these are the physical sensations of the raft being set down. They are the markers of sukha manifesting in the body. So tonight, as you feel the pull toward sleep, you can understand it not as a defeat of consciousness, but as its fulfillment. You are not losing yourself, you are returning to your natural, unbounded state. The thoughts that arise are like the final, flickering shadows on the courtyard, not threats, but proof that the light is changing, that the day is gracefully concluding. In this spirit, you can practice a form of dana, generosity, toward yourself. Dana is a core Buddhist virtue, the beginning of the path. Usually, we think of giving to others. But tonight, give yourself the gift of non-interference. Give your body the gift of your complete, non-judgmental awareness. Give your mind the gift of spacious allowance. This generosity dissolves the last traces of separation between the giver and the receiver. There is just the giving, which is the receiving, which is the resting. As the edges of the self soften, you may touch a silence that is not empty, but full of presence, full of knowing, full of a quiet intelligence that needs no words. This is the heart of the Buddhist experience. Viraga, dispassion or fading away of craving. It is not a cold withdrawal, but a serene, contented abiding in the suchness of things. The bed is just the bed. The breath is just the breath. The night is just the night. And you are just awareness, knowing it all, at home in it all, needing nothing to be different. From here, sleep is not a transition into unconsciousness, but a seamless merging with a consciousness that is already peaceful, already whole, already free from the need to be a separate someone doing something. It is the most natural thing in the world. In this seamless merging, a profound simplicity emerges. All the teachings, the metaphors, the practices, they converge into a single, wordless invitation, to trust. Not to believe in an idea, but to surrender to an experience. The Buddha's final instruction before his parinibbana, his complete passing, was, all conditioned things are impermanent. Strive on with diligence. It is a teaching for both life and for this moment of rest. See the impermanent, changing nature of each thought and sensation, and with diligence, which here means gentle, persistent awareness, simply let it be. The striving is not toward a goal, but in the continuity of letting go. This trust is not blind. It is built on the direct evidence of your own investigation tonight. You have seen thoughts arise and pass. You have felt the tension of craving and the release of letting it be. You have touched the stillness beneath the noise. This is sada, often translated as faith, but better understood as confident trust based on verified experience. You are not trusting a distant deity or a philosophical concept. You are trusting the observable lawfulness of your own mind and body. You are trusting that awareness is vast enough to hold anything, and that peace is its native state. I was taught about this trust not through doctrine, but through learning to walk across a frozen lake with a hunter from the northern mountains. The first time, I crept, terrified, testing each step, my body rigid with the fear of the invisible cracks below. He walked ahead with a steady, rolling gait, his eyes on the far shore. You are listening to the ice with your fear, he said. That is not listening. Your fear is loud. Be quiet, and you will feel the ice speak. It will tell you it is solid. It will hold you. But you must be quiet enough to hear it. He was right. When I stopped the internal shouting of my panic, I could feel a subtle, firm solidity transmitted through the soles of my boots. The support was already there. My fear was the only thing making the journey treacherous. The ice of this night is the support of reality itself. The reality of the present moment, the reality of your awareness, the reality of natural law. Your fear, of thoughts, of wakefulness, of losing control, is the noise that makes you tremble and test each mental step. The practice is to become quiet enough to feel the inherent support. The body is supported by the bed. The breath is supported by the air. Awareness is supported by itself. It is self-existing, self-knowing. You do not need to hold it up. It is what holds you. When you truly listen beneath the fear, you feel that solidity. And in that feeling, walking, or in this case, resting, becomes effortless. This leads to the ultimate refinement of practice for sleep, the practice of asamosa, or non-confusion. In the dim state between waking and sleeping, confusion can arise. A dreamlike thought may feel like a pressing concern. A bodily sensation may be misinterpreted as a call to action. Non-confusion is the lamp of mindfulness that remains gently lit, allowing you to discern, this is a dream image, not a task. This is a memory, not a present event. This is the body settling, not a signal of danger. This discerning awareness protects the sanctity of your rest. It is the wise guardian that allows the gates of sleep to open fully, knowing that all within the domain of dreams and silence is also part of the path, not a deviation from it. So tonight, as the boundaries soften, let this non-confusion be your guide. You are not checking out. You are checking in, to a deeper, more subtle layer of reality. The thinking mind is retiring, the knowing mind is illuminating a wider landscape. In this light, the descent into sleep feels less like a fall and more like an expansion. You are not becoming less aware. Your awareness is shedding its narrow focus and becoming panoramic, receptive, and at peace with the unfolding mystery of the night. From the Buddha's perspective, this is touching the unconditioned, asankhata. It is that which is not put together, not constructed from causes and conditions. Your thoughts are conditioned. Your tired body is conditioned. But the awareness that knows both the thoughts and the body's tiredness, that is not a thing that arises and passes. It is the open space in which all things arise and pass. You cannot find its beginning or end. In the moment you rest as that unconditioned awareness, you are tasting nirvana, not as a far-off heaven, but as the extinction of the fires of craving, aversion, and delusion that usually keep you identified with the conditioned, struggling self. It is the cool, quiet peace of the deep night. Therefore, this journey into sleep, undertaken with wisdom, is a profound Dharma practice. It is a daily opportunity to enact the core of the Buddha's teaching, to see the constructed nature of experience, to let go of clinging, and to abide in the peaceful freedom that is always already here. You are not just going to sleep. You are practicing, in the most intimate way possible, the art of liberation. And so we arrive here, at this quiet edge. The analysis is complete. The guidance softens. What remains is not instruction, but invocation. A calling forth of the natural wisdom that has been listening all along. The Buddha taught that all beings have the seed of awakening, the Tathagatagarbha. It is not something to be built, but something to be uncovered, like a clear spring revealed when the mud of striving settles. Your desire for peace, your exhaustion with struggle, these are not signs of failure. They are the gentle, persistent nudges of that seed, urging you to stop digging in the mud and to rest, so the water can become clear. Tonight, you have cleared some of the mud. You have seen the thoughts as passing weather, not the climate of your soul. You have felt the craving as a movement of energy, not a command. You have touched the impermanence of all states, and in doing so, found something within yourself that does not come and go. You have, even if only for flickering moments, set down the heavy mask of a fixed self and breathed as the openness of awareness itself. This is enough. More than enough. This is the practice for a lifetime, and you have practiced it tonight. Now, let all concepts dissolve. Let Buddhism, practice, and teaching be like words written on the surface of that frozen lake. They have pointed the way. Now, let them be swallowed by the stillness they pointed to. There is no path to walk now, because you are home. There is no self to improve, because what you are is already whole. There is no sleep to achieve, because rest is the nature of what you are when you stop running. Simply be. Be with the darkness behind your eyelids. Be with the subtle symphony of the body, the whisper of blood, the tide of breath, the hum of cellular repair. Be with the vast, soft silence that cradles it all. There is no separation between you and this experience. The one who listens is the silence listening to itself. The final teaching is no teaching. It is a permission slip, signed by your own awareness. You are permitted to stop. You are permitted to let go. You are permitted to trust this night, this body, this breath, this boundless awareness, completely. From this place, whatever happens is the right thing. If thoughts continue to drift like mist, that is fine, they are just mist. If sleep comes now, wrapping you in its soft cloak, that is fine. If you rest here in conscious quiet for a while longer, that too is perfect rest. The outcome is not your concern. Your only job, and it is not a job, but a grace, is to remain as the open, allowing space for whatever is. The great matter of birth and death, the Buddha said, is urgent. But its resolution is not found in frantic searching. It is found in moments like this, where the search ends, and what remains is a peace so deep it has no opposite. In this peace, the boundaries of the night, of the self, of time itself, become fluid and gentle. You are not entering sleep. You are becoming it. You are what you have been seeking. So, let the last word be silence. Let the last effort be a sigh of release that needs no one to sigh it. The journey of the day is over. The journey into night is complete. All that remains is being. Rest now, not as a person needing rest, but as the universe resting in one of its human forms. You are safe. You are held. You are home. Welcome to the end of seeking. Welcome to the beginning of rest.